I think Zoom audio is actually going to do pretty good for this. I don't have any other way to record audio, so you guys are gonna have to bear with me. I really apologize. I'm not gonna waste too much time on this. If you're watching this video, it probably came from one of the previous presentations. You know what the Modern Detailer's Handbook is about. You just want to get your free piece of information that's going to explain what the basis behind the handbook is. And a lot of people really don't understand that it's just very simple things that make a massive difference, and that's literally all that there is in business. Small changes that make huge differences. It's really what you're looking at. So let me go ahead and show you guys basically what this hack is that everybody's so excited about. It's really, really important for you to understand the cost. Really is. If you can understand your costs as a business person, there's no reason why you can't make everything else work because you are going to understand you have to have a minimum amount of money coming in the door in order to be able to maintain your business. So once you know what that amount of money is, because you understand how much money you have to pay out of pocket to keep going, then you actually know how to set up every other strategy. Because that's the problem that a lot of people have is that since they don't know how much they're actually spending to provide their service, they have no idea what they're supposed to be charging over here on the intake side. Okay. So let's go ahead and just cover it real quick. I'm gonna go ahead and screen share what you guys need to see. This little presentation right here. All right, so you guys can obviously see everything right here. We're gonna hop right into the presentation. The name of this presentation is called What is Your Cost? And the reason that you need to be able to determine this, the reason that this is important, where I'm gonna walk you through it all the way from very beginning to the end, is because, like I said earlier, if you know your cost, you know how much you need to charge. And usually what you want to charge is the cost of doing business plus covering one more client. Okay. So basically everything that you need to pay to do business for the client, get your profit, take all your expenses out, and then what you need to be able to service one more person. So if it costs you $2 to service somebody, then you need to be able to charge your profit plus the cost to service that extra person. Okay. And that's basically what we're looking at. So if it costs you $2 to service something, you want to make $8 profit, then you're going to charge them $10, right? You're going to charge them the profit that you want to make, and you're going to charge them $2 that it's going to take to serve the next person and make an extra $8 for the profit. Because you always want to make sure that you can do your next job. Something that's very important. That's going to get really, really deep into whenever you're actually in the middle of the course. Is that the maintenance aspect of it, making sure that you're always ready to take that next step. And in any aspect of life, you'll understand that this is the determining factor between the people that win and the people that lose is the preparation. Because everybody says success is where preparation meets opportunity, and I'm a big believer in that. So I want to make sure that everybody's prepared for that time that the opportunity does like jump right in their face. They'll be able to just grab on and rush out and take it, and you won't lose any money. Because a lot of times I had to lose out on jobs because I had no way of making the job happen without charging extra money or hiring on extra people and things like that. And I didn't think it was a possibility until I understood that if you work the cost into what you're charging the client, then you're basically plugging into the universe's money. And that's something that my mentor likes to say is if you plug into the universe's money, you have unlimited money. It doesn't make any sense, but the thing is you got to understand your business is not run out of your money. You don't pay employees with your money. You don't pay yourself with your money. You pay yourself, you pay your business, you pay your employees with the money that the customer and the client gets you through acquisition of their funds. Okay, so when you can understand cost, then the customer can pay for the cost. You can get your profit, you can provide your service, the customer can be happy, everybody walks away. Okay, everybody walks away happy, satisfied, and you have just made a lifetime customer, is usually what you're looking for. And let me get right into it again. So this we have to understand what we provide and how much it costs. Today, the agenda, it's just going to be a quick presentation. I think it's total like 10 slides. I'm just going to show, and this is the beginning of like a larger presentation covering cost, price, and value. But I'm literally just going to explain to you where the cost comes from and why you need to charge what you need to charge, and basically what the price needs to be at. And then later on, if you're actually interested in purchasing the course, then on the inside, I'm going to show you how to provide value for each individual client. Okay, so introduction, cost versus price. We already covered that. Determining cost. We need to figure out a lot of things. So these are a couple of cost determining questions that I just put on right here. What were your expenses when you first got started? How much did you spend on your power washer? How much was your vacuum? How much was your generator if you had one? Because these are all things that you had to spend money on so you could actually get out there and do a mobile detail or to do a detail in your shop if you have a shop. And maybe you don't have a generator, but you still have to pay for the shop rent, don't you? You have to pay for electricity. But Continuing on, again, if you're mobile, how much was your vehicle? Do you pay insurance? These are all things that make a big difference in the overall cost of what you're doing, right? So on the next slide, I went ahead and just wrote down the cost that I assumed whenever I started this business. And it says right here, this complete analysis shows you my breakdown for the bare minimum cost that I assume when starting doing this personally. This is my pickup right here. You can see I just had the tow tank in the back of the truck. I really didn't have anything fancy, but I did end up getting a trailer later on, which is about an $800 trailer from Northern Tool Tractor Supply, and those places that could have got it for me. But look at this, right? So I had a $350 power wash. So just right off the bat, $350. And my personal thing is every month you should be able to cover your minimum expenses. So basically the expenses that it took you to be able to provide the service every month, the jobs that you do should cover them. But of course, it should also cover your income, which in this case, they weren't covering all that stuff. I was barely covering expenses. And it should cover your taxes and all that stuff, which goes into your expenses. But so let's go through it, right? So trailer was $800, power washer was 350, the steamer was 150, the extractor was 150, the extension cord that I was using was a cheap extension cord, it was like 20 bucks for 100 feet, a $10 reel from Tractor Supply, and then I had $240 in insurance for the truck. Because if I put the pickup in there, it would have been automatically $10,000. So you see what I mean? Like the cost to provide a service is really expensive whenever you actually get into it. So had I gone in there and had I actually put the value of my truck as price of my cost starting out, it would have been at least at $14,000 just with a vehicle to begin with. And you got to understand, like you're pulling mileage on that vehicle, and every mile that you put on, the value goes down. So that's something that your business and that you as a business owner have to take care of and have to assume in the long run. Because once that vehicle goes down, what are you going to do? If you don't have the money, if you haven't been putting depreciation, if you haven't been making the funds they need to make in order to be able to cover this, how are you going to pay for the replacement equipment? I'm gonna tell you you're not. And if you are, you're probably gonna ask the bank for help. And you don't want to do that. You never want to do that unless you absolutely have to, or unless you have a plan to be able to do it. So if you're at a point where you lose a piece of equipment and you're having to ask the money, but like the bank for money because you didn't prepare for it, that's not a good reason to go get money from the bank. However, if you're in a place where all your maintenance needs are taken care of and you want to make an expansion, you can go and ask the bank for money because you never want to expand using your own money. Does that make sense? So if you have a ready set expansion that you know is going to make you income, then just go and get somebody else's money and then replace it with the money that you make from the opportunity. But moving on, I did insurance instead of doing the vehicle because I didn't want the SKU to be that different. But yeah, it's just in between those things, just my actual general equipment off the bat, it's 1,900 bucks, damn near $2,000 to be able to provide that service. And you have to make that every month, minimum, in my opinion, for me. I had to make that every month for me to feel comfortable with just my business. So I had to make that, and then I had to make the money that I had to make for my personal bills aside for me to be comfortable. And it wasn't just that, I also had to pay for, my hose, the rags, the detail brushes. All in all, I was in about $2,551 whenever it was all said and done, just for my bare minimum expenses for month to month that I have to be able to cover, right? So whenever you look at it that way, you're like, holy crap. So I have to make my business has to make at least $2,000 for me to be able to start getting paid. So for me, it was just like, I can't get paid unless my business makes that much money. And even then, like this was money I was spending on gas, I was spending on chemicals, I was spending on water. There's expenses that are going on day to day that don't include the upfront costs that you already charged. Okay, so I was losing money on that end. And I had just moved out of the house. I had no idea how to manage my finances. So I was just spending money on food at the wazoo, not knowing how much money it was costing me. And like literally, I was spending about $1,000 a month on food just because I was driving around town and have time to sit down and make food. So I would just stop by the nearest restaurant. I would buy food for me and a partner. It would come out to like $30 or $50 on a daily basis. So you do the math, 900 to 1,000, 1,200 bucks, something like that. And it just wasn't working out. I was probably making about $5,000 whenever I was charging $80 per detail. I was making about $5,000 a month, and it just was not enough to clear it. Like I wasn't doing enough. I was wasting my truck was wasting so much gas. I think I had one month where I did about $600 in gas, just like within 4 weeks. That I think that was the most ridiculous month that I ever spent on gas, but it was just because my jobs were so far spread out where I had one on this side of town and one on the other opposite side of town. And my truck was not the best. It was an older vehicle and it was already starting to drag on me. the mileage as far as, how much mileage it could give me per gallon. And it was supposed to be like a 14 mile per gallon thing, but it was really giving me like eight miles per gallon. And I had a 24, 25 gallon tank. And it was just, I was filling it up every other day pretty much. Every other day I would go spend 80 to $100 to be able to actually fill this thing up. Or if I hadn't lost that much gas, I would spend, 30 to 40 bucks. But still, it was like every other day I had to go and pump gas because I was running out. And it just wasn't working out. I had to get rid of it. I had to figure something out. So here's how I broke it down. This is what I had to clear for the month, basically, right? So if I worked 30 days, an average month has 30 days, correct? So if I worked 30 days and I did $80 details, now I had to make $85 per day to clear my expenses. Then if I was doing 3 details per day, I would have to spend the entirety of one detail to be able to actually provide the service. And I'm gonna have to do the math in front of you guys. I'm sorry that I didn't do it for the actual journal, but here, let's just say we have 80 per vehicle times 3 vehicles. That's $240, right? And it's $80 in expenses. So you have $160, maybe, maybe in profit for the day or in actual winnings. If you do 3 details at $80 each. Now, if you do that times 30 days, 0, 0, 0, 3, 6, 1, 2, 0, 0. So yeah, that first one, this comes out to about $4,800 a month. Okay. This first thing right here, $4,800 a month. You do 30 days, 3 details a day, $80 a detail. Now, if we have to go on the other part, the correction, how do we fix this? Well, you have to understand that if you're spending 1/3 of your income just to be able to provide that one thing, and mind you, this is probably about 6 to 10 hours of work, depending on how bad the details are. So you still might be working a regular day, but you're looking at 6 to 10 hours a day, or yeah, 6 to 10 hours a day if you're doing 3 to 4 details a day, depending on how bad the details are and how fast of a detailer you are. And that's just average. Some details are a lot faster. I know I was working a lot faster than that to the point where I could get like 8 to 9 details a day if I was safe and I played it carefully. But not everybody can do that. And I want to work with averages. I want to work with what most people would be generally able to do if they're taking their time, making sure the job is done properly. And I think 3 to 4 is a pretty good number to be at when you're working solo, which is how I was doing it and how this course is set up. But you can take these skills and turn them into something else. I just don't want to advertise it that way because that's not the way that I did it. And I want to make sure that everybody understands that everything I'm selling is what I've done and actually what I've put out there. But yeah, so what we want to make here is we want to make sure that this 85, since it's already 1/3 of what we're making, then we're gonna make that our cost. We're gonna work that into our price. What I said earlier, where we're basically just gonna plug into the universe's money, and now that cost is gonna be paid by our client off of that first detail. And I don't know if anybody's been watching any of my other videos, but I did say that, or even just here in the headline, I said that averaging less than 1 detail a day. Well, I was averaging about $250 per location. Not necessarily per detail, but per location. That's because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to make sure that per every customer that I visited, I made at least 250 bucks. Now I had some guys that gave me 500 bucks. I had some people that gave me 300, and it was just depending on the vehicles that they had. But I knew what my bare minimum was. Whereas if I went out to a location, and if I wasn't doing 2 SUVs, I would be okay with 250. If I was just doing two 2-door cars, 2 4-door cars, 4-door car and a pickup maybe. All that kind of stuff. I was doing it inside now. I would be okay with doing it for 250 for a client. But usually 250 is what I got for one car. So I was doing about 28 details. I was averaging, I think I have about 35 clients that are regular customers that come back on a regular, monthly basis. So I was servicing about, 30 of them on a regular month-to-month basis. And they were basically taking care of all my finances. So if you do the math, it's 28 or 7,000 divided by 250 comes out to about 28. I think it's like 28 point something, 27 point something. So I was averaging less than a detail a day, and I was making more money than I made back whenever I was doing the thing before. And this is just how it goes, right? So instead of charging $80 a detail, we're now charging 200 to $300 a detail. And like I said, my average was 250, so we're gonna go based off of that, right? $250 a detail. And mind you, this was no wax, this was no interior coatings. This wasn't even steaming most of the time though. I wouldn't mind bringing the steamer out every once in a while or the extractor. If it was a client that I liked and if the rest of the job didn't take as long. Let's say, for example, my usual time for me to give out was like 2 hours on a two-door car, 2.5 for a four-door. If I was working on like a two-door or a two-row micro SUV or a crossover SUV, then I would give myself up to 3 hours to work on it. And if I, blew that time out of the park by 30 minutes to an hour and they have some couple of stains that took extra work, then I would go ahead and do it. That was just my personal thing. So I just take care of my people, take care of my customers and all that, right? So let's look at this, $250 per detail. And we're gonna do the same thing that we did before, right? Now we're doing 3 details, 0, 15, 36, 7. So $750 in gross revenue for the day. And you subtract your 85, but let's just say 80 because that's what we did the first time. You subtract your 80 off the top, leaves you with 670 bucks or 665 give or take if you actually do the 85 necessary to clear your expenses for the day. But when originally you were making $160 after profit or after your cost, just in gross revenue per day, you're now making $670. So if you look at the difference there, you're looking at a $510 difference just by appropriately making your pricing and putting it there. Now, this is just the secret that helps you figure out your pricing because this is a question that I see the most often is how much should I charge for X? How much should I charge for Y? How much should I charge for Z? The thing is, every price outside of the basic detail is completely 100% up to the detailer because that is where detailers bring value into the equation. You can be the guy who is known for doing carpet extractions, you know what I mean? And if you're known for doing carpet extractions, and a carpet extraction can bring you in $1,000 because everybody knows that you charge $1,000 to extract the carpet on the vehicle, and that's your bare minimum price. But you still do regular details. Your regular details can sit at $200 to $300, and your extractions can stay at 1,000. That is how you, as a detailer, provide value. And this is the thing where people, well, once you've done enough work of a certain thing, people are willing to assume more risk in order to work with you, in order to work with the one who. It's the thing that's also going to be included in the sales aspect of the course because the way that I'm going to work it's going to be the mentality. I think I have that right here. Make sure that I do this thing properly. Make sure that everybody's actually on page. I'm going to go ahead and take this down, right? So we already went ahead and cover that. So there's a difference. If you charge properly, you average $240 to $250 per detail. Then you have a difference of about $500 between your $80 vehicle pricing and your $200 or $250 vehicle pricing. And that is what you want because a $500 a day difference is equivalent to, let's see, the first time we did it off of the remainder. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to do 670 times 30 days, okay? And we're going to show you because previously I had done it right here. You can see it by 20 days. But if I do 20 days, you're not going to get the full difference of, or the full effect of what's supposed to happen. And that's what I want everybody to get. $20,100. So we're charging $80 doing 3 details a day, working 30 days a month. You would be making $4,800. If you were charging $250 a detail, doing 3 details a day, 30 days a month, you would be making $20,000. And that's a staggering difference of about $15,000. $15,000 to $16,000 in difference just from actually putting this thing into the equation, okay? I'm gonna go ahead and stop screen sharing. That way I can get back to it and you guys can actually see this thing back here. But this is how I'm gonna break down the course once it's actually inside, or once you guys are actually inside. So I want to make sure that you guys have all the information that you need to make sure your business prospers. The first section is going to be welcome to the course. I'm going to walk you through the basics. I'm going to walk you through this entire thing right here. I'm going to make sure that I know where you're at on your business. If you already have clients, if you're already charging a certain amount, we're going to go through all that stuff, make sure that it's taken care of. We're going to make you join the Facebook community where it's going to be other detailers who are also a part of this course. And the reason that that's important is because you always want to make sure that you're around other people who know at least what you know. If you're around people who don't know what you know, then it's going to be harder to actually get the information that you want to get because you have to bring them to your level before you can ask them a question about how to get to the next point. Okay, and I want everybody to be around business owners that already know and understand the basics of what's going on here. Because a lot of people don't understand the basics of selling or the basics of service the way that they're going to be explaining here. So if you're around other salespeople and other people who actually understand the way the service is being sold and why it's being sold and marketed that way, there's so much more potential for growth than if you're having to constantly pull everybody up to your level or make sure that the people that you are surrounding yourself with understand what you're saying. And that's what I don't want. Okay. Second part is going to start off with this thing that we just covered right here, which is going to be your cost, price, and value association. We're going to start with what you're going to sell, who are we selling it to, why are we selling it, and what are we selling it for, how we can provide value, and then how to make decisions on setting pricing, determining our cost equation. These are all things that we need to cover. Then number three, we're going to build a framework. This is where I'm going to get you set up with your branding, make you set up with your logo, get set up with Facebook, get set up with Google. Those are going to be the four primary things that I'm going to cover here because you need to make sure that you define those things. Billionaires are built on branding. Millionaires are built on service. And that's one thing you need to understand it. If you want a business that behaves like a billionaire's business model, then you need something with a brand, something like Coca-Cola, something like Netflix, something like YouTube. Those things have brands behind them. And when you have a brand, you have a message, then people can get behind the message without having to get behind anything else. You don't have to explain the service as long as the message is strong enough for them. So yeah, we're gonna go through branding. We're gonna make sure that Facebook is set up properly to where you can take appointments. We're gonna make sure Google is set up to where you can take appointments and you're gonna get phone calls. And I'm gonna show you the best way to optimize both to where you don't have to do anything to actually continue getting reviews. Your clients are gonna take care of all this stuff for you. You want to outsource all the work that you can for free to the people that care about your business just as much as you do. And those are the people that use your business. Okay. So just keep that in mind. Section 4, we're going to work on getting that first sale because this is, like I said, 100% organic reach. And in order to get that first sale, there's different things that you can do. There's different techniques for outreach, but the main thing in this section is going to be the script. The script is going to be the most important part that I'm going to give everybody because I'm going to give everybody the same things that everybody tells me, go on Facebook, go on the marketplace, and go on, contact the people that you know. But I'm going to give you the outline on how to get them to the point that they need to get before they're ready to make a purchase. Because there's a way to get a sale that makes everybody happy because the friction is reduced and everybody gets the service or the value that they need to get from the transaction between each other. So the business owner gets their money and they provide the service, and the person that bought the service gets the service provided and they get 100% customer satisfaction. That is what you want to deliver from beginning to end. And that's something that is very important to know selling to be able to do. Because if you confuse a person during the sales process, it's going to be more likely that they're not going to enjoy the final outcome of the conversation that they had because they're going to spend so much time going back and forth just trying to figure out what you were trying to tell them. And you never want that to happen with your clients. Okay, and the last part is the last part. It's the part that I'm going to be the most excited about because I think this is the closest thing to my heart. And it's going to be from all of the years that I spent doing real estate, from all the time that I spent trying to figure out, how to get my life in order and how to figure out the best things that I could do for myself and how to get those things done. And it's going to be learning sales. So I'm going to walk you through every single aspect of the sales process as I have learned it from my time in real estate up to my time right now as a business owner, doing the things that I'm doing and educating people like you the way that I am. Now, if anybody doesn't know who I am, my name is Luis Vega. I started a career of sales at the age of 18 whenever I made a decision to get into real estate as a 19-year-old because that's when I got my license. It was pretty funny. 6 days after my 19th birthday, I got my real estate license. And within those first 3 months, I managed to secure three sales, so I didn't get paid for one of them, and one lease due to one of the people that I was partnering with. And during the next 2 years or the next year and a half or so, I helped my group educate other real estate agents on how to pass their exam and how to get their first sale, as well as on customer service presentation, making sure that everybody was always in tip-top condition. Then once I decided to leave real estate, I tried out different economies. The entire time I was learning everything that I could. Um, the real estate team that I had been a part of had originally paid for a sales training from Grant Cardone, if anybody knows Daddy Grant. And it was about a $40,000 training that they paid for the sales team to be able to do it. And I remember I was devoted to that thing. I was studying Grant Cardone like crazy. I've read dozens of books, maybe even hundreds of sales or about sales. I've consumed hours and hours of YouTube content trying to figure out the best way to deliver value to my customer, figuring out how to make things work. And it was really hard to make it all come together, but it finally did. And I'm really glad that it did because now I get to be in this position where I help everybody else do the same things that I'm doing. And if you're not familiar with my business, I am Chariots Auto Detail LLC. We're located out of Midland, Texas. And we do about, like I said, $7,000 a month worth of gross revenue month to month. And that's just me as a sole detailer, not taking phone calls and not paying ads, just barely doing any organic reach at this point because at this point people are just coming to me without me having to do anything. And that is off the last 6 months of work where I have built my persona, I have built my brand, and I have built this image. And if you want to do the same and you would like to learn how to do the same, then I would recommend that you go ahead and just click the link down below and join the Modern Detailer Handbook. That way you can get the full outline that I use to create a business that people can trust and that they keep coming back to every single time. Okay. I hope to see you guys on the inside. I'm really glad that you took the time to listen to this entire video to this point, if you did. And if you didn't, well, I really hope that you might come back and see this part at some other point later down the road because I really want to provide value for everybody that's involved, and I feel like I really can. So if you get any value out of this, please leave a comment down below. Make sure that you give me a shout out, share this with your friends, leave me a like, give me a subscription, whatever it is, anything that you do can help. I would love to see you guys in here. I would love to continue seeing you. For anybody on the YouTube channel, I'll continue to post high content or high level content where it's just about business, about detailing, and the actual how to, the actual know-how will be kept behind a paywall inside the course. Because if you want to learn how to streamline it, you got to pay the price. And I don't doubt that somebody can reverse engineer it from the videos that I'm going to post, just the same way that I reverse engineered my system from all the videos that I saw. But I am a firm believer that if you can do that for yourself, then you deserve it. So, I mean, if you're going to invest the time to be able to reverse engineer, if you're going to invest the hours to look at material from dozens of other people and then come back here and figure out what I'm doing that I learned from them and all that stuff, then you 100% deserve it. And I have nothing to say to you. Congratulations. I'm glad that you're doing this and I'm glad that you're doing it for yourself. And I hope that you continue to do better. And if you don't have the time or the ability to sit there and reverse engineer it, then I guarantee that this is something that you're going to get value from. And I guarantee that you're not going to regret making a decision to go ahead and purchase it. I am going to work in some form of either money back guarantee or a free trial into the system. That way you don't have to sit there and pay for something that you don't feel comfortable with or you don't feel like you got any value out of it. It's going to be either a 30 to 60-day money back guarantee or a 14-day free trial with the first payment due at the end of 14 days. That's how we're going to set up everything. But for now, I'm just going to go ahead and post this video and then I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.